Okay, let's roll right into our post-race for the Crown Royal presents the Heath Calhoun 400 here at Richmond. Our third-place finisher is Kevin Harvick. He drives the number 29 Reese's Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. He's also our new points leader. Kevin, talk about the race out there this evening.
I mean, it was a solid night for us. We were right in the middle of the top five all night, which is where you got to be to have a chance. And we had a chance there at the end. And 18 just, he could run the outside where none of the rest of us could, and he could carry that momentum. And had a couple lot fresher tires than we all did, and was able to really make the move on the outside and make it stick. So, but all in all, it was a solid night, and we'll take it.
Questions for Kevin Harvick? If you have one, raise your hand. We'll come around with the wireless. We've got one right here, and then we got Mulhern. Let him get it right here, Alan. And Mulhern, and then Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, John Gunn, NASCAR Illustrated. How hard were you willing to push Gordon there on that heading toward the finish?
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to do anything silly. I mean, you push as hard as you can to the point where you can get up underneath him and hope that he slips. And I just wasn't able to carry the middle of the corner like I needed to. I was a little bit loose getting to the middle of the corner and couldn't carry the speed that I needed to underneath him like that. So I just had to really tiptoe through there.
Next question. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Muller. Mike Muller and MikeMuller.net. Good night for RC. All three cars ran really well, and I guess Montoya with the ECR engines. But this wasn't a typical Richmond race. It seemed like there was you guys weren't knocking the heck out of each other like you were last week and the week before and the week before that. It seemed more a strategy race. Was that long stretches of green? That's unusual for Richmond, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a very unusual race compared to what it usually is. We had a couple cautions late, but really, other than that, it was a lot of green flag racing, and the cars would lose the handle extremely a lot quicker than they usually did, and a lot more extreme than they usually did. So you really had to finesse the things around there, which is why I think they probably get spread out more, because you have to go so slow to keep your car driving straight up off the corner and through the center of the corner. So you just got to slow the car down so much, and I think that's probably why there was less cautions.
Dave, you get a question to Kevin, and then we'll hear from Jeff. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave Rodman with NASCAR.com. Kevin, all three of you and your two teammates ran in the top 10 most of the evening. Could you speak in general to that, and specifically what Scott Miller's new role has meant to the success the organization's had so far this year?
Well, I think that's been typical of our cars running good this year. As far as the management structure, I don't think it's just Scott. But Scott in specific takes a lot of stress off of Richard of having to listen to opinions from each different person. Scott gathers all those opinions and makes his I think I got shut off. Makes his best recommendation to Richard. So it's a much different structure and process than the way it used to work. And Scott, he can relate to me, he can relate to the crew chiefs, and he can cipher through all the BS. Before it gets to Richard, and we don't have to go down a road just because it was thought to be a good idea on that day. So he's done a good job, and then you have Kent Day, who's done a good job with the engineering group and placing the right people in the right spots to make our simulation programs and stuff useful this year, and our 7-post useful, and all the tools that we have, we can actually use them and know what they're doing.
We're also now joined by a race runner-up. That's Jeff Gordon. He drives the number 24 DuPont Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Jeff, certainly had a good car out there tonight. Talk about your performance.
No, it was a good one. We took off there at the beginning and got into second. I thought we might have something for Kyle early, and then that second run, boy, he just was gone. And I felt like at that point we were just pretty much battling for a top 2 or 3, and then Burton came up in there. I saw Kevin back there, and every once in a while he'd make a charge, but on the long runs it got so slick, and it just seemed like it's so hard to make up ground. But then Burton got up there, and I was impressed how good he was, and he got by the 18, and we weren't that good at that time, but somehow those guys both faded, and I was driving by Burton going, I don't know how in the world we're taking the lead right now, because I was absolutely sideways, couldn't even touch the gas. So it was a real finesse, like Kevin was saying, a real finesse race tonight. And that kind of fell in our direction with our setup and everything else. So unfortunately, those cautions came out. I got 2 good restarts. And then, the guy did not want to have to race on the restarts, who was unbelievable on restarts earlier in the day, was Kyle. And when I went, man, he timed it perfect, got to my outside. I was a little bit loose, and we weren't that good on restarts anyway. And he just smoked us. So, it was still a great finish, great run for us. And after the last couple of weeks, we certainly needed this, and we keep running like this, I think the wins will come.
Let's go upstairs to the press box for 2 questions. Go ahead, press box.
This is Monty Dutton, Gaston Gazette. Jeff, it's not just one of those things where we could have. You very easily almost should have won 4 times. Last week you were talking about it doesn't take much to tick you off, but you were ticked off at Jimmy last week. How ticked off are you inside for it being such a long streak and not being able to pull it off? I mean, regardless of whose fault, it seems remarkable that you haven't won yet.
Well, I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know that they don't give out trophies for leading any lap other than the last one. So, we're a team that's made huge strides, in my opinion, from last year. Even though we finished 3rd in the points last year, I don't feel like we are near as competitive as we are right now. And that's what I'm excited about. We're leading laps, a bunch of laps, at a lot of different types of tracks. And, I think our team is really on top of our game. It's a little disappointing we haven't won some races yet, but if we keep doing this, those will come. We got to keep putting ourselves in position. Our cars that we've been leading those laps are not the kind of cars that you want a green, white checkered or a late caution, and that's something you have to think about. You have to try to figure out how to make an air pressure adjustment or do certain things to make your car really good on those short runs, because we're seeing them every weekend now, and that's how you're going to have to win races. So, it just keeps us working harder and myself, and at the last couple of times we were leading on those green, white checkers, I didn't get very good restarts. Tonight I thought I got a pretty good one, but we just didn't have the car. So we'll keep working at it. But I'm not ticked off. I'm pretty excited about the way we're running.